Reparations are financial and material compensations provided to individuals or groups who have been subject to harm or injustice. Reparations can take various forms, such as cash payment, scholarship, the provision of land and property, or other forms of support or recognition. The Learning Journey, in association with Turn It Up Tuesday, hosted by Ross Audio, presents Did You Know? And this week, our topic will be reparations. If reparations were provided to Caribbean people, it would have a significant impact on the region. The Caribbean was heavily impacted by the transatlantic slave trade, which saw millions of Africans being brought to the region and forced to work on plantations. The legacy of slavery is still evident in the region, with high poverty rates, underdevelopment, the lack of economic opportunities, and let me say that reparations could help address the issues by providing financial compensation such as land and other resources. Additionally, it would actually acknowledge and recognize the role the Caribbean played in such an injustice. As we move on, let me give a call out to one of my subscribers, Wayne, who sent me a TikTok link featuring Professor Hilary Beckles. Professor Hilary Beckles is known as an advocate for reparations for the Caribbean people. In this clip, Professor Beckles pointed out that Jamaica was the Caribbean's largest slave market. Over time, the British brought 1.3 million Africans into Jamaica. And when slavery ended in 1838, Jamaica had only 300,000 slaves left. Professor Beckles points out that the critical question is, how could you have reduced a population of 1.3 million people to 300,000 in less than 200 years? He calls slavery in Jamaica genocide. The reality is, it was. He calls out various countries who refused to consider or entertain the thought of reparation. Now let us explore some thoughts put out by many who do not want to have anything to do with reparations. First point is the lack of direct responsibility. The lack of direct responsibility. The government and individuals who benefited from slavery are no longer alive, so it is unfair to hold the current generation for the actions of their ancestors. Financial burden. The cost of reparation would be too great for the government and could lead to increased taxes and economic hardship for everyone. The next one is loss of agency. Reparation would position black people as victims and unable to take control over their lives and their communities. It is difficult to measure the impact that reparation would have on black communities and whether or not they would be able to have improvements in their quality of life. Then there's the position of historical injustices, such as many Native Americans have not been compensated, so it would be difficult to set this precedence. There's the issue of ancestry. Not all black people in the United States are descendants of slaves. Now, to be honest, I'm in the United States now producing this video and I would not expect to get compensation. After all, I am Jamaican by birth. And then there is insufficient evidence of who should benefit. There's no evidence that suggests that reparation will be effective in addressing the effects of slavery. Yes, it might not address all issues, but it would certainly help in the redistribution of certain wealth. Now, having examined some of the positions of why reparations should not take place, let us look deeper into why it should take place. Of course, financial compensation. Provide direct compensation to descendants of enslaved people to address the wealth gap that presently is affecting many. And of course, it's an ongoing legacy. Yes, education. Create educational opportunities using the reparation sources that will acknowledge the history of slavery and the impact on communities of color. Healthcare. Of course, there's a need to close the gap. By reparation through a healthcare lens, it will provide access to healthcare to address the high disparities as it relates to centuries of oppression in our country. Community investment. Invest in programs and initiatives that will uplift the black community, provide opportunities for economic advancement, and of course self-determination. Criminal justice reform. This could be a part of the reparation process. address the systematic racism and biases in our criminal system, and provide support to ensure that these areas are addressed. Reparations could provide support for descendants of enslaved people who wish to go back to their ancestral homeland, and of course, cultural preservation. Invest in the preservation of African culture and tradition. My final point. By reparation, we would acknowledge the role slavery played in developing a modern society and provide recognition on a global scale to ensure that history is not forgotten or ignored. I'm saying to you at this point, many will say that reparations should not take place. But I say at this point, we need to move forward with finding a solution because we are still behind. And let me end by saying, are you for or against? Do you think it's impossible to achieve? We're in a system that continues to be controlled by an institution that was created to enslave people. That's all for now. Over to you, Rossi.